Hi, welcome. We'll be using a few props, 2 balls, a strap. You can also use a belt or kind of basically anything. We'll be putting it around our foot laying down. A roller. I have some nubbies on my roller. It doesn't have to. You can have a smooth one. And some form of bolster. You can use towels, blankets, and fold them up as well. We'll begin sitting on something, and let's take a moment to drop in a seat. We'll start with a brief meditation. So just get comfy is the main guidance there. Doesn't have to look any certain way. Lifting up can help the hips be slightly higher than the knees, so you can lift up as much as you need. And just as you start to settle, maybe sigh it out. It might be a tip for me, it's evening time. So maybe it's the end of your day and you're just settling in after a day of a lot of doing and busyness. Or even if it's in the middle of the day, this is just your time to be. So begin to feel the legs, feel your seat on the ground. Just noticing. Start to feel through your low back, and if you're feeling a slouch at all, just lengthen and lift up out of that seat. You might even lean back a smidge. Notice how that feels. Feel your hands. Let them just be resting, whatever feels comfortable. Notice your shoulders. Without thinking about it, let the shoulders be. Let them just feel heavy and relaxed. And if they don't feel relaxed, that's actually okay too. We're just finding some awareness. Feel through your neck and your head. Sometimes I notice my head starts to shift forward when I'm trying. So notice if you can just settle your head, your neck right on your spine, right over you. Feeling the hinge of your jaw. Your tongue. Notice your forehead, your temples. Feeling your head and the hair on your head. Now just find awareness of your whole body. Attune to your breath. Without doing anything to your breath. Sense the rise and fall. Sense what the inhale does and notice how your chest feels on your inhale, and as the exhale happens, maybe feel a little bit of a melting or a relaxing quality. Sometimes when we focus on the breath, we make it bigger or we enhance it, and which is fine. But let's try to just feel the natural breath happen. Noticing and watching the inhalation. Pause. And sensing that exhale, sensing how the texture of that breath feels. There's a little space in between each inhale and exhale. open your gaze. We'll find our bolster and lay on it. So again, you can use towels, you can use a pillow. You really don't even need anything necessarily. It's nice to have a little prop there. We'll be laying in Supta, Bhatu, Kanasana, which just is reclined with a hip opener. This class is focusing on the hips. Sometimes it's nice to have a little space for your low back. So you might put that edge of the bolster just not right at the butt. You'll see what feels good for you. And just creating a little bit of space for that low back. And letting your arms drape over the bolster. So it's subtle. If your head feels like it has to hang on or chin is up, you might even find something, a blanket or something close by for a little pillow. Or pillow, for that matter. Soles of the feet together, knees open wide. And you can also prop things under your thighs and make it a little bit more relaxing. We're really coming into this shape not to get something done, but we're savoring into the undoing, which often doesn't get associated with as much value as the doing. But it's equal. It has equal value. Sometimes we need the undoing more than the doing for balance. So we're just really letting our body be in stillness, which is different than when you go to sleep. The conscious awakened part of the day is when you're receiving stillness, when you're awake in a non-sleep mode. You receive a different kind of nourishment. So we'll stay with this for a few moments, seeing if your shoulders are lifted at all and they might just rest. Just let them feel heavy. If the legs get uncomfortable, it feels like you have to try too much to hold this shape. Another really lovely position for the pelvis is you'll bring your knees up, feet wider than your hips, and the knees will knock in, which is a nice neutral position for the pelvis. That can feel good. And if you feel inspired to take a deep breath, go for it. But the breath is natural. The breath is easy. There's no work. There's no effort to be done here. Just feeling the body, feeling this sense of relaxation, sense of stress just coming out of your pores right in this moment. Last few minutes. So gently release. Sometimes it's nice to bring your arms down, and if your knees are open, help your legs out and bring your feet to the ground and just kind of lifting your outer thighs. Roll to your side. Move the prop that you had under you away, and we'll just lay back down on our back to notice the contrast. Letting your body soak in that gentle opening for the chest and the hips. So next we will find our roller. Let's start toward the right side. Just place your roller pretty much right in the middle of the mat, and the long way will be parallel to the top edge. So go ahead and sneak your right butt cheek onto the roller. You can be up on your hands or on your right forearm, it's up to you. And I'm leaning my body weight to the right. So you'll just glide the roller all the way up until you get to those bones, not on the low back, but you actually can go pretty high until you feel that the kind of bony prominences up there of the hips, and you'll go down. So you'll just see if you can roll nice and smoothly and purposefully this whole area of tissue on the side and a little bit of the back of the hip. You're using your feet to help you. That left knee just pretty much stays bent, and the right knee bends and straightens. And you don't have to go fast. In fact, sometimes going really slow can help. We're getting into all of this tissue here of the hips. And we'll just take a couple more passes in this shape, this first part here. And just noticing the feeling. Start to lean more to the right. So you'll still kind of go all the way up and all the way down toward the lower part of the butt. But you'll actually start to roll more to the right. So you're almost on the side of the right hip. Sometimes when I do this, I like to angle the bolster, or the roller up a little bit. Sometimes that helps access these tissues. And you'll just feel what feels good for you. And we'll take a couple of passes, smoothing out some of the tissue and just basically feeling it and noticing. And also, we're hydrating the tissues. And let's try one or two more. Okay, and you'll just place the roller to the side and lay down so we can receive the therapy we just gave our right hip. Just lay down for a moment and notice if you feel different from side to side. Notice if you feel maybe the right side heavier, more circulation, maybe even the butt or hamstring feels closer to the ground. And just take a note, just notice it. We'll do the other side. So come on up. And also, I just thought about this. I like to sometimes in between sides, bring that bolster right on, especially if the bolster has a nice bit of softness to it, and start to massaging the sacrum. Right on the sacrum. So you're a little bit on that flat triangular bone at the base of the spine, but around the sacrum there's all of these connections and attachments, and it can get kind of jarred up and sticky. So to me this feels really good. If this doesn't feel good and it's very helpful, this doesn't feel good for you, just skip it. So I'm just kind of rolling in the center, and now we'll go ahead and do the other side. So lean to the left. And you can be on your left forearm or your left hand. And your right foot is kickstanding you. And that left knee is bending and straightening. So before we go too much to the side of the left hip, just kind of check out how high the hips go. That's pretty interesting how much tissue of the hips. We a lot of times think about the low butt cheek, kind of the middle of the butt, but sometimes we forget about this upper part. So it's nice to get into these stabilizers that support us, and especially if you do a lot of vinyasa or power yoga or really any balancing thing at all. This area works very hard. Just slowly gliding up and down, feeling the sensation, feeling the texture. About 3 or so more passes. Smoothing out the tissues. And begin to roll more toward your left side. So you're getting to the side of the hip, and you can re-angle that if it feels good. And you'll intuit it. You'll know. And this class you might do again. If you do this class again the second time, third time, you'll sort of know. You'll get more familiar with it, and you can kind of get right into the spots. But every day it's a little different. Every day the tissues are a little bit different. You probably did some different things with your body. Or you're holding different stuff. Different emotions. Take a couple more. And let's go ahead, remove the roller, lay down to receive. There's a couple of things about this practice of laying down and receiving in this Shavasana position. One is neurologically the body can actually take in the therapy you just gave it. It can receive it. So it's really helpful. And the other is it helps us to remember that we don't have to do all the time. Because we don't want to kind of use up all of our reserves. We want to savor into our essence, into our goodness, and so these moments where we can pause and be, we really can live, we really can feel our being. And I don't pause a lot of the day. And so because I have that same drive and that ambition to want to do more, which is not a bad thing, but we forget. So we're retraining our being to be so that in day to day it comes more naturally. And we miss out less. Take a note, take a moment. So next we'll use the balls and put the 2 balls right in so bend your knees and put the 2 balls in the center of your butt cheeks. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's kind of right in the center, and you'll sort of rock side to side, and you almost might even do some little figure 8 sort of, just to kind of check out this area of the hips. Start to maybe windshield wiper, just a small windshield wiper side to side. And now you'll maybe readjust where the balls are and just find the center. Knock your knees in and stay. If this feels good, stay with this. You don't have to go forward. You don't have to go further. To me, I already get a pretty nice sensation. But if you want more, you'll bring your knees hip width apart, cross the right ankle over the left thigh, and tip to the right. So if you need to adjust where the ball is, just intuitively, just sense it, and to find a good spot, go for it. And you'll lean to the right and start to draw some little circles, both directions, and you also might kind of wag side to side, up or down. And what we're doing is we're just checking out the area right here in the center of the butt and seeing if we can find a spot that we can hang out in for a few moments. Not too, it doesn't actually need too long. I have my right hand kickstand to support me here. You can use the other ball or the bolster even to prop up the left side, kind of kickstand you up to help you to melt your body weight over the ball on the right side. Stay here for a moment or two, just letting your breath relax. A few more breaths. So we'll bring this formation to the left, but not all the way over, just halfway over. And you can start to kind of anchor through your pelvis. You're more on the left side, but not all the way to your left side. So just stay here. Sometimes this feels, you can feel a little different angle, different stretch on that right side of the hip. Now we'll go all the way, tilting this formation all the way to the left. Undo the arms. Either hold on, sometimes it's nice to hold on to your right ankle and kind of use it as a lever just to relax there. Or you can support your right leg with your left hand. Just let it be simple and easy. Let your back relax. Let your hips feel heavy. Your right arm relaxes. And we'll stay here for a few moments. Savoring into the stillness and the quiet. Letting your body receive the nutrients of this presence, of being aware of how you feel right now and the sensation that you feel in your hip and the calm, the quiet that you're giving to yourself. It's like a lullaby for your soul. Noticing if your hands are gripping. Just let them be easy. One more breath. Gently finding your way out. Sometimes I like to just kind of roll into it. That feels easier often. So the right knee comes down, kind of working the legs toward straight, laying down, taking a moment to receive this space. So we'll do that on the other side. Find both balls and your knees. Put the balls right in the center of each butt cheek. And begin your little bit of a rock side to side. Maybe a circle or a figure eight. Kind of letting the ball stay under you, but just moving the skin. Moving the tissues, so you're just kind of wiggling your body, keeping the ball as it is. Windshield wiper might feel nice. Maybe just knock the knees in toward each other and see if you can rest onto the ball. Maybe stay here. If this feels like a pretty good amount of sensation, you might just want to stay Or knees hip width apart, left ankle cross, right thigh, tip to the left. Lean into the left ball, wag side to side, or go up or down, or maybe even a circle. I sometimes like to make a little circle, and you'll just see what feels good. Check out a spot. So you might just wiggle around until you find a spot that feels nice. Shouldn't be painful, but there is a pretty good sensation there, most likely. Just use the other ball to help support you. You can also use a bolster to support you. And now we'll just rest into the ball for a few breaths. Maybe left hand helps support the left thigh. You can almost feel the tissue start to change the response. It's as if the area of the hip where the ball is just kind of gives in and relaxes. And the trigger point starts to release. Take another breath. Back towards center, uncross ankle, feet the earth, lift, remove the ball, take a moment. You can straighten your legs or keep them bent. You might even rock a smidge. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Hug it in. So right through this little triangle, grabbing shin or hamstring, take a couple rocks, coaxing your left hip into the stretch. It's almost like you're cradling it, nurturing it like a baby. You're just saying, hip, you do so much, you're so wonderful. You do so many things for me that make me happy, and now I'm just gonna rock you and release you, and I want you to just feel good. That's kind of what you're telling your hip. And then the hip in turn says, thank you so much. So just stay here, find a spot that feels good. If you feel like you're rounding and trying to force into it, let your pelvis be heavy. And almost tilt your pelvis away from you as if you're creating a little C curve in your low back. Aim your left knee away from you. Usually that helps deepen the stretch, and then just relax into that. It also helps with that sense of efforting and trying too hard. Often when we just let go of the trying, there's this ease that happens, and you might even feel a deeper stretch. Few more breaths. And the back of your head feel heavy into your mat. We'll tilt slightly to the right. So not all the way, just a little angle. And often you might find it different. Just switching the angle, and the hips are 360 degrees. So it's nice to find different angles and different ways to stretch the hip so that you access different parts. Release some of the tissues that get stuck that we might be missing if we're just holding the exact same shape. Now tip it all the way over. The arms probably will be a little intertwined. Undo your arm. Hold the ankle or kickstand your left thigh, inner thigh, and relax your left arm. This feels nice for the low back as well. Low back, side of the hip. Sometimes I want to feel more stretch. Okay, I love half pigeon. I want to get it. But it's nice to do subtle work as well. If you do subtle work, you'll get into the subtle parts of the hips. Some of you, this might feel robust. It might feel like a big stretch. It just depends. Relaxing in, reminding yourself, your mind, this is the nourishment we need. This is the stress release that is so helpful for our body, for our mind, for our heart, for everything. And just know that it's doing its magic, it's doing its work. You don't have to. You don't have to be the doer. One more breath. Noticing the inhalation. Feeling the exhalation all the way through. Begin to unwind whatever feels natural. I like to just kind of roll into it. Find your way to lay down. Just a moment. Settling in. Find your strap. Let's hug our right knee into chest and draw a couple circles. The other direction. Point and flex your right foot. Feel the ankle, feel the tips of the toes. Lasso up the ball of your right foot, right at the ball of it, and straighten your leg. It might stay a little bit, doesn't have to go all the way straight, but you definitely don't need to bring the leg in toward your head. It doesn't have to go that far. Find one hand in each side of the strap. I like to do a little loop-de-loop, keeping the arms straight so they don't have to work too much. Shoulders relax. We'll stay with this just for a breath or two, moving into an outer hip IT bend stretch next. Feel the right butt anchor into your mat. Feel your shoulders relax. Let it feel easy, as if the leg and the arms are just counterbalancing each other, rather than this pulling, wanting mode. So let it be easy. Now we bring the strap to the left hand. You do another loop, if you like. Right L of the hand hooks at the hip crease, gently prying the skin of that right hip crease away. A little self-adjustment. Bring the leg halfway across the midline of your body. So not all the way to a twist, just halfway across. Adjust how close your right leg is to or away from you to feel the outer seam of the right hip. Get your right butt cheek heavy. For some people, you need to bring the leg in closer, farther, more in toward a twist, or less. Usually less is more though here, and it's often nice to keep that right butt heavy to the ground. Barely the side of the right butt's lifted. And if you still don't feel it and you want to take it into more of a twist, feel free. We'll stay here for about 5 rounds of breath. If that adjustment feels nice, stay with that. But if it feels like you have to effort too much, just relax your right arm. Slowing down the breath a bit. Noticing your exhale and lingering with it. Maybe slowing the exhale down a bit. Two more rounds of breath, breathing in. Breathing out. Inhaling slow. Exhaling all the way nice and slow, lingering at the end of the exhale for a moment, just lingering. Bend the knee a bit, bring the leg back up, hug your right knee into chest, draw another circle or two, lay your right leg down. I love this part. Feel the right leg. Feel the left leg. Just notice. Sometimes you feel more circulation or longer or heavier in the right leg after that one. Let's go for the other side. Hugging left knee to chest. Drawing some circles. Both directions. Just feeling your hip socket. Feeling a nice sense of lubrication. Point, flex your left toes. All the intricacies of the brilliant foot, toe, ankle. Very complex. Just giving some circulation there. Last one, up the ball of your left foot. We'll find something on this side. I like strap to either, or hand to either strap, looping it up and hang out with this hamstring stretch for a few moments. Feeling that you're not trying to bring the leg too close to your head, just letting your arm, the strap, support your leg. Feeling that weight of your thigh bone into the hip socket. So it's like the butt gets heavy to the ground. Bring the strap to the right hand, maybe finding another loop. Left L of the hand hooks right into that hip crease and prying the skin away, giving a sense of traction as we bring our leg across us a little. So investigate. Sometimes it doesn't even take very much. You just bring it a tiny bit, like closer, farther away. And you don't want to do too much. You don't want to overstretch it. So just let it be very gentle and easy feeling. Maybe the leg comes a little more across your body, but just find something that you can start to feel a little bit, maybe through the back of the hamstring and possibly the side of the left leg, the IT band, outer hip a bit. If you don't feel it there right at first, it's okay. Sometimes it starts to creep up on you. If your self-adjustment with that left hand gets a little bit too much, just relax the left arm. This is another thing about this is you're getting a nice recirculation. The blood is flowing down toward the source, toward the heart. So you're getting this nice recirculation for the leg. Staying here for 5 more breaths. Slowing down the exhale a bit, lingering with the bottom of the breath. Breathing in, you might count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing out, you might count to 7. See if you can let that exhale be a little longer. Breathing in. Breathing out. One more. Begin to bend the knee a bit. Bring your leg back up. Hug your knee into chest. Strap to the side. Draw some circles. Starting to feel that recirculation through the left leg as we lay down. Marinating in the goodness. One more before Shavasana with the ball. You just need one. You'll bring your ball about 3 or so inches to the right of the sacrum. So it's higher than the butt cheek itself. And we'll have a chance to investigate. Bend your knees, or bend your left knee, I should say, and straighten your right leg. And lean to the right. We're just going to do one here. So lean at probably about a 45-degree angle. And you'll wiggle up, down, left or right, until you find a spot. And there's usually a couple here. So it might be pretty intense. If you don't feel like it's intense but not painful, if you don't feel like it's kind of intense, you might wiggle around a little bit more, up or down or left or right. Often, if you roll more toward the right side, it's a little bit more. But just find something that you feel like that has good sensation, but you can also relax into. And we'll just stay. Often straightening the right leg helps the tissues relax, but if you want to bend the right knee, it sometimes makes it more intense. So you can just check that out. Melting right into your right side. Seeing what you can do to soften your body. Noticing if anything is gripping the head, jaw. And just see if you can give permission. Give your face and your body permission to be. Just be, to rest. You might wiggle around and find just one more little spot. Maybe roll more to the right. Savoring in for a breath or two. Slowly roll out of it. Ball to the side. Take a moment. Laying down. Feeling your hips on the ground. Feeling your low back on the ground. There might be a little space there, but just noticing the body melt. So one last side. Bend the knees to find your ball a few inches, maybe about 3 inches to the left of your sacrum. Straightening your left leg. Right knee bends. Lean into the left. You might rock up, down, left, or right, even just a little bit. Usually you'll find something pretty good right away. So once you find something, we'll just hang out. I'm going to kind of cradle my bolster on this side. for some support. Noticing if your jaw or your hands are clenching up. Sometimes when the hips are tight, we recruit and do other things. So just try to relax the rest of your body the best you can. Give your left hip permission to release. You might wiggle and just find another little spot. It might even be just a tiny bit away. Couple more breaths. Now I'm resting my right knee on the bolster. So you might, at home, you might find different ways to make this more comfortable. There's really not a wrong way, other than if it's painful, then you just want to readjust. There's techniques to make it more efficient, but you'll find for yourself what really works. Take another moment. I mean, you know your body better than anyone else does. So we're just really coming into it here. Kind of roll out of it, move the ball, bring the bolster or some support under your knees if you like, and we'll lay down in Shavasana. So we've had these little mini Shavasanas throughout class. So we'll just close with not an extremely long Shavasana. Of course, you can stay longer and turn the video off and stay as long as you like. But we'll just kind of melt in, feeling all of that nice juicy hip work, that meditation at the beginning, just soak into our body. Taking your constructive rest.